Pat, what'd you think of the convention and the speech last night?
Loved the speech last night.
Yeah.
Loved it. And, as soon as I was watching on Fox last night for the first time, and as soon as the speech ended, Chris Wallace and others started tearing him apart because I guess it wasn't loud enough for them or wasn't rally.
I was glad it
I was
wasn't.
glad. I liked his tone.
Yeah,
and
when the audience, they did it once, they're like, woo.
Yeah,
I was like,
that.
oh, stop that.
Right.
Stop that.
And I think this was a definite outreach to independents. He's already got the base secure.
Oh, my
Okay,
gosh.
so let's show the independents that they've got a comfortable place where, he's not insane. He's not out of control.
He's not what you think he is.
He's not what you've been told he is. That's for darn sure.
Yeah.
And I think he accomplished that really well last night.
So I felt I was watching, I felt really guilty about one thing in particular. I have no problem speaking out about the president's policies, and I have no problem saying in 2016, I don't think he's going to do any of those things because I didn't think he would. He had no record of actually believing any of these things. And I said it, and I said at the time, if I'm wrong, I'll admit it. And I have admitted that long ago as he started to fulfill those promises. I was shocked by a lot of them. But last night, all I could think of was when he called me when my dad died. Do you remember what I said afterwards?
No.
He called me because he had heard my dad died because we had to leave the hotel. I was staying at a Trump hotel. And he talked to me about my dad, and I hung up the phone and I said, he is running for president. And I attributed the entire phone call to politics. And in watching this week, I think he is... I think he does not care about what he says about people in person. On stage or whatever. He will call you anything and say anything. He does not care. But I think he is publicly like that. And I am afraid I have misjudged him. I think privately, the thing with Alice Johnson, all of the stories that came out this week from people who were not political, they didn't know Donald Trump. I think one of the most important things about the two conventions was, one, you had a guy in office for 47 years who now says he's going to do these things. And they had a bunch of people say, look, I've known him for a long time and he's going to do those things. Okay. And they're asking you on Biden, trust me, I know him. The people that were speaking out about Donald Trump were the exact opposite. I didn't know him. I don't really know him. But look at what he did. And I think it just rang true to me. And I felt so bad about what I said, how I said things in 2016. And I've been feeling this way for a couple of days during this convention. And I just feel like I need to apologize to his children because I can't imagine. I just had Donald Trump Jr. on with us, and I can't imagine he acted like we were old friends. I can't imagine they didn't have several conversations about me at the dinner table on some of the things that I said. And I really regret it because I do think publicly, Twitter and everything else, I think the guy is out of control and doesn't care, enjoys it. But I think privately, he's a different guy because his children love him. And I don't believe, like, for example, Ivanka is a psychopath. And how is it Ivanka loves him and all of his children love him as much as they do if he's a psychopath in real life? He's not.
No.
He's not.
I don't think we ever said he was a psychopath.
No, I know, but people think he is because he just doesn't seem like he cares.
Yeah.
He'll say anything, and it looks like he doesn't care. I don't think
know
that's
that we
who
said
he
anything
is.
wrong during the campaign, frankly. We disagreed with him on policy, mostly, and because his track record was not one of a conservative.
Correct. And if I would have left it at... politics, I think I would have been fine because I've already said I was wrong, and I said I would say I was wrong. But I really went after his character, and he can be targeted with his character, and I think that's fair. but I went after his character personally, and I think I was really wrong on the level of, I think when it's personal and he's involved one-on-one, he does care.
Oh, I think he does care. Yeah. And
that's definitely the messaging I think that they wanted to get through.
Yeah,
and it did.
And it worked. And because it felt real. None of this felt staged or phony or...
Not at all.
None of it seemed like, okay, we're reaching out to the black people again. It didn't feel that way.
No, because
all.
It was black people who were saying, look, I love this guy.
Right.
And this guy is going to take us to the next level. The Democrats haven't.
Yeah.
And like he said last night, I've done more for blacks in 3 years than Joe Biden's done in 47.
Yeah.
And it's true by a lot.
It's
true.
It is. I mean, when you saw, I didn't know about the funding of the black colleges. I just didn't know all of the things. Did you watch it from the beginning?
A good list of stuff. His speech?
No. The whole convention last night.
Most of it. I fell asleep at one point.
All right. So I started watching it from the beginning, and I was just watching the raw AP feed. And so I didn't hear any of the commentary, and I saw everything that was on stage. They opened up with a couple of people, both African Americans. One was like, look, I grew up in really a bad section of town. I never even thought about a Republican. And he now works for the president and was so full of joy. It was an amazing testimony. Then this woman in Houston who said, 2 years ago, I was homeless.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yes, I
was
did see
that powerful?
That. Very powerful.
And the way she ended it and saying, look, don't let anyone tell you can't do it.
Yeah, she was great.
I'm closing on a new house at the end of the month.
Yeah.
I mean, it was great.
And it was because of one of his programs.
Right.
And the other thing I thought was great was that montage they did of actual people who have changed from Democrat to Republican.
Yeah.
And especially the Democratic Socialist.
Oh my gosh!
Who said she's going to vote for Trump this time? That was powerful too.
And the skinny white kid with the big holes in his ears.
Yes. Yeah.
He is. Yeah. He would not be pegged as a Republican ever. No. And he was like, I never voted for a Republican, but I was living in my apartment, I think in New York, and he said, I was talking to this neighbor who is black, and I said, what do you do or whatever? And she said, I'm in the system. And he said, I just realized everything that I thought I was for traps people. It just traps them.
It was, did you guys see the Richard Grinnell thing?
Yes.
I think it was last night.
Yeah.
Or, excuse me, 2 nights ago, yeah. Where he was basically making the case as Donald Trump is the most pro-gay rights president ever. And it's interesting. I mean, we've been talking about that since the beginning. He's always been kind of friendly to gay rights, I think.
And the only one to ever be elected in favor of gay marriage.
Yeah, but it was they're reaching out to these groups, and they're not all consistent. This bashing of the 1994 crime bill, which is a very standard thing now that Republicans are doing, was something wildly supported by Republicans at the time. Being tough on crime law, it was a law and order bill, and now at the same time he's making this case for law and order. He's also kind of making the case against the crime bill because Biden voted for it. It's an interesting thing to try to pull off. I think the same thing goes with they did it with gay voters. I thought very well. When you outline everything that he has done and has supported over the years, there's a very important, I think, successful outreach to gay voters who would not normally consider a Republican.
Well, I think you can talk about it because you are the gay character on the show.
I'm the gay character, right? This was the most important part of the convention to me.
But I think the thing is the most important thing is that I don't know anybody who had a problem with any of that stuff. I don't know a single conservative that this was the true representation of the Republican Party.
Did anybody say, hey, Richard Grinnell shouldn't be speaking, he's gay?
No.
Nobody said that.
The interesting dynamic as a party, just as an observer here, right, is that all the things that Grinnell was hitting Biden on were things overwhelmingly supported by Republicans at the time. They were overwhelmed. Right. They were saying he was really, Joe Biden was really late to gay marriage.
Okay, so wait a minute.
One of the arguments.
There's a difference.
Now, I understand that as an outreach political tactic. Right. It is an look. Parties are.
It's different. I think you're missing something. What you're missing is we weren't talking about gay marriage last night. This convention was not about policies. It was about the human and American heart. We can disagree on policies, but we don't hate each other.
Yeah, and that's one thing I think the bar has been set
so
low
powerful
for Trump because of how evil he's treated in the media all the time. He's the worst guy ever. He's a racist. He hates gays. He hates Jews. He hates everybody. So just showing that the guy legitimately cares about people and has empathy for people and has treated people nicely and has people like Richard Grenell, who he's supposedly supposed to hate, who he's been elevated to roles never achieved by any gay person in history in the United States, at least outwardly.
Right.
That is an important message, I think, to get out to people. So,
there was no way you could walk away if you watched this convention and listened. There is no way you could walk away and say that is a racist guy, a racist party, a gay bashing, gay hating, homosexual, xenophobic party. There's no way you could walk away
unless you just didn't believe it. Which, by the way, a lot of people, you watch the mainstream media reaction to it, and it's just so predictable. They were bringing out look, yes, he says this, and this, but look at, even big reporters were doing it after this. I think that particularly the one with Grenell, for whatever reason, really got under the skin of reporters who don't want to lose, they don't want to lose that ground. They don't want to lose the we're the pro-gay party crowd. They don't want to lose the we're the only ones African Americans are allowed to vote for. Those sorts of things are really offensive and get really under the skin of just the Democrats, but the media in general.
They knew it, and that's why they did it.
Oh, yeah, and they did it well.
That's one of the reasons they did it.
Politically effective, I think.
I love some of the little shots, the little poke 'em with pickle forks things that Trump did during the speech last night that drove them out of their minds.
Oh, yeah.
Out of their minds.
One of the things that drove them out of their minds, and I have no problem as a historian, I hate to say that because I know how the press would react to that, but I read a lot of history. I go to original documents, et cetera, et cetera. So as a quasi-historian, I'm bothered by the precedence of the backdrop being the White House. This was the first time, and I hope it's the last time. If it was not the era of the pandemic, I would have been screaming bloody murder because I don't like that. However, with that being said, remember, this was his third choice as a backdrop.
Yep.
This is not his first. This was his third. Democratic City said, no, not here. Can't have that. Social distancing, all of that. So he's like, okay, I'll do it from where I'm living. It was not his first choice.
It wasn't, but then he accentuated it last night just to get under their skin. How many times did he point to the White House to show that he's there?
The time that it was like, you talk about a pickle fork, it was a giant pickle that he took when he took that fork out and said, you know what? They said this, but hey, look where I live.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really good.